Sorry.
All right, I think we're back on now. So sorry about that. If y'all were listening, we're back on. We somehow lost the whole audio console just totally shut off on that. So I'll have to bridge the two episodes together here when we get it all done. But got Marty back here. But we're talking about St. Augustine with everything going on. St. Augustine, pretty much. I tell you, it's going to be something very interesting with that, but looking at some of the other Class 1A power rankings, let's go back and restart that with the Class 1A power rankings here, and we'll think so. I have no idea what happened here, but trying to figure out why it did that, but that's the first that it's happened. Technology. Gotta love it. Gotta love technology. All right, did I lose Mark?
Right.
Okay, there we go.
No, I mean, yeah, I'm sorry. No, I'm here. Right, and I absolutely agree with you on technology. It's a crapshoot, and when it works well, it works well. When it doesn't work, there's really no point in having it, because if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. There's nothing you can do. So, but we're back on the air, and this happens sometime. We do have in Gainesville tonight. We've had some weather. I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but. Some lightning still and storms in the area, but I don't know if that has anything to do with that. We are back on.
Yeah, definitely, indeed. But let's restart with 1A, with the Region 1. Jay, Baker, Vernon, Northview, Graceville, Bozeman, in that order, sitting right now, according to the thing. But and it's yeah, Hunter Williams is sitting here on the chat, so at least he's back on. So that's a good thing. Anyways,
Okay.
I heard Marty. Yeah, the whole thing went down. But Region 2 in Class 1A, we're looking at it this way here. Jefferson County holding down at 1, Blountstown 2, Port St. Joe and Sneads tied with 3 and 4, Port St. Joe 3, Sneads 4, Cottondale 5, Weewa Hitchika 6. So Jefferson County 3 and 1, so not a bad start for them. But I mean, to be sitting at 1, but just a reminder. This will change week to week, and especially after this week. Especially with the fact that once we get a lot of people, most teams will have at least 5 games, officially, thing, because a lot of teams were off last week. So a lot of teams are sitting there with 4 games right this second, but now we have 5. People will have 5. Everybody will have mostly 5 next week when they recalculate again. It'll definitely be sitting there, but. Looking at Region 3, how about this one? It's Chiefland, Madison, Dixie County, Lafayette, Brantford, and Bell.
Wow.
In that order. Now, Chiefland's sitting there right at 1, but see, that's the thing is that, both have played 5 games. The only reason, Madison's just slightly behind between 42.80 and 42.40 is that it's just that loss right there to Columbia, but that'll eventually play better. That'll play more into things later on as the season progresses here.
Yeah, and that's a little surprising because you have Bell, who has 1 win to this point, in that 6th spot. But I mean, it tells you, right now, this early in the season, you're seeing teams really based completely on strength of schedule. And those postseason spots, because despite being 1 and 3 with Bell is, they played a pretty tough schedule, so that's what's helping them. And we've seen that too in some other classifications. We'll talk about it as we go along, but we have some teams in 3A and 4A as well that their records are not good, and yet they're in those postseason spots because it's early in the year. So a lot of that, as you mentioned, has been tweaked, but that's where that strength of schedule component plays in, and that's why you see teams that like Newberry last year, 3 wins, made the playoffs. Williston had a 500 record in 1A. Some of those teams that made the postseason based strictly not just on wins and losses, but on the teams they played, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Region 4, Pahokee 2-2, but they're sitting with the highest average at 41.75, and then it's Hawthorne after that, and there's a big distance between Pahokee and Hawthorne for that 1 or 2 seed. Hawthorne sitting at 38.75 right now.
And Hawthorne has, Hawthorne at 4-0 has not played the most challenging schedule already. I mean, they've been beating teams by, I think it's combined 295 to 34 or something like that.
I'll give you that. Let me pull that up right now. I've got those numbers sitting right here in front of me. I'll give you that information. I'll give you that right now. What is the thing? 240? It's 240 to 20.
Right. And those are just crazy numbers. That's an average of 60 to 5. They played 4 games, but they have not played they played basically PK Young, who's 4-1, but PK Young has not played a very challenging schedule either. That's Hawthorne's best win to this point. So, that's why they're a little bit back despite being 4-0. Pahokee is 2-2. Has played, I think they've already played Vero Beach. They've already played, I know, an 8-8 team. They've got a tougher schedule for Pahokee, right?
Right, they've already played Delray Beach Atlantic, so and that's a team that's...
8-8 team. That's an 8-8 state runner-up from last year. So, yeah, Pahokee getting definitely a benefit there of the schedule. But it's going to work out for Hawthorne. They have games coming up with Chiefland, with Union County. They got Keystone Heights this week. So that's a little bit tougher game, Keystone being a 4A school. So, but Pahokee right now, despite the 2-2 record, is a top, and that makes sense as well.
Yeah, and then after that, it follows the Frostproof, Crescent City, Fort Meade, and Williston right now. So
right. Crescent City is playing good football. Williston, and there's another team, only one win, but Williston has played Madison County, Eastside, Union County, and then they beat Newberry last week. So that schedule is tough.
And let's put it this way, let's put it this way. That was an 18-14 loss for Williston to Union County week 1. That could have Williston could easily be 2-2 right now. So that's the difference we're talking about.
Yeah, it's not much. And again, we're early in the season, so this is all going to work itself out as we go on. Again, this is only week 6, so we got 5 more weeks before this is all settled. But that's why you see teams like Williston, who's only 1-3 in that postseason spot right now. That's kind of what Williston did last year. They were 5-5 and they made the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. That's the thing, and all that. But transitioning, looking at Class 2A Region 2, North Florida Christian sitting at the 1 spot, Estilla Christian 2, University Christian 3, McClay 4, Rocky Bayou Christian 5, Eagles View 6. I think that changes along the way here. I think University Christian is going to eventually be that 1 seed because eventually as they get further into the schedule itself. I mean, like we go pulling up the schedule right now for them. Just looking at it, I mean, they still. Here's the thing. Okay, they've got Bradford. They've got Bradford this week. They're off. Then they got Foundation Academy, who's undefeated still right now. And then they got Madison County, and then Clay. So they've got some tougher games. They've got some better games coming up here in the stretch of the next in the next 4 or 5 weeks here. So I mean, I feel like University Christian will think, and I think the one thing that may have hurt University Christian here in terms of where they're standing at in the initial point standings is where Bowles is standing at record wise. I think if Bowles, and I believe Bowles will win more games here, and Bowles will, right now they're classified as a Cat 3. I think they'll be up to they'll bounce back into the Cat 2 status, I believe.
Bowles, yes. You're talking about.
Yeah, Bowles.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and yeah, because Bowles still has Trinity Christian. Oh no, they played Trinity. They still have Ponte Vedra on the schedule. They still have Columbia on the schedule. Bishop Kenny, who's not great this year, but that'll be a tougher game for them. Haven't looked at also some of the other non-district games, but yeah, Bowles probably will. And the Bowles' 2 losses are to Rockledge and to Trinity Christian, who are 2 state-ranked teams as well in 5A. So, there's nothing to be ashamed about, and I'm with you. I think that they'll move up as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that as well. That'll be the case there in that situation with all that is that the University Christian will be the thing. I think Estilla Christian. Estilla Christian. They're playing some good football this year. I definitely think they're worth of looking for a playoff spot. Boy, I just don't. I don't agree with where they're sitting at right this second, but that's going to change. I really think that's going to change and all of that. But Region 2 right now, sitting in the top, in the order of Foundation Academy, Victory Christian, Trinity Christian out of Deltona, St. Francis Catholic, Zephyr Hills Christian, and Oak Hall. Those are the 6 teams right there sitting looking at the playoffs right this second out of that region. And to be honest with you, I think you're looking at your clear-cut 6 that are going to make it out of that region right now. It's going to be very clear-cut. There's no I don't think that's going to change at any point. It might change in the way they're ordered, but I don't think it's going to change from that initial 6 for the rest of the season. Just because you look at the teams that are behind it, those teams that are behind them barely have any wins. Warner Christian's probably going to get declared ineligible at some point because they forfeited a game to Victory Christian. Kingdom Prep hasn't won a game. Cornerstone Charter's only won one game against a not very so good competition. Merritt Island Christian, they haven't won anything yet. In Halifax, they've won a couple. They've won here, but they've won a couple of games, but they're just not. They're not good quality wins, and it really this point system really shows it.
Yeah, well, and it's like this is what's interesting about looking at something like 2A with 6 teams in from each region. You're looking at a team like Eagles View in Jacksonville, who's not having a bad season, but would you consider them a playoff team? And they would have to play University Christian if the numbers were to hold up. So, yeah, oh, wait, no, actually, that would be, I apologize. That's right.
Eagles View, we would have to play University Christian.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I thought I was looking for something different. And then you look at Region 2, Oak Hall is now in the 6th spot. St. Francis is 4th. They're playing this week. So there's going to be some shuffling there. I think what you said is right, though. The top 6 there maybe stay that way because I don't see Oak Hall losing a lot of games unless they lose to St. Francis on their schedule. I don't see St. Francis losing a lot of games if they beat Oak Hall this week. Now, you're right about Warner Christian in Region 3. Carrollwood Day, Sefner Christian. I mean, that's a pretty solid group. Admiral Farragut, Cambridge Christian, Northside Christian, down to Evangelical, who just beat Oak Hall last week down in Fort Myers. And then finally in South Florida, Miami Christian right now has more points than anyone in the state, 43.0. So
yes,
good start for them.
Yeah, definitely, indeed. And let me make the backtrack here with you on that for a moment. Region 3 to order: Carrollwood Day, Sefner Christian, Admiral Farragut, Cambridge Christian, Northside Christian, which actually is disqualified. So don't look at things as I got to send a reminder to FHA about that one. But Northside Christian is disqualified from the playoffs for the next 3 years. But they would be ranked 5th right now. But Evangelical Christian actually would probably be your 5th seed. Southwest Florida Christian would be looking at 6th seed in terms of the thing. So we'll definitely be looking at that. We'll see what the FHA has to say about that one. But then, like you said about Miami Christian in Region 4, they're leading the thing with 43. St. John Newman at 2. Moorhaven 3. Glades Day 4. Champagnat Catholic 5. First Baptist Academy 6. And Champagnat Catholic is the defending 2A state champion. They're looking at 5th seed right now.
Right.
So, I mean, it's...
Yeah, right. They're going to have a tough road back if something up.
Yeah, and Miami Christian has actually been a surprise this year, undefeated still. But I think I just don't... something just tells me that Region 4 is just kind of not as strong as it could be. And I think this is where reclassification will fix some of these things and deal with all of that. But looking at Class 3A with the points there... how about this? Let's Florida High 1, Baldwin 2, St. Joseph 3, Pensacola Catholic 4, Episcopal 5, Providence 6. What teams did I not? What teams did I not mention that were playoff teams last year?
I really like the top 3 in that region. Florida High, who had Madison County down at the half, lost that game. They're a good team. Baldwin, mentioned them earlier. They're undefeated. St. Joseph is a team kind of under the radar, and St. Augustine, they're now up in 3A, and they're still undefeated. And then you mentioned Episcopal and Providence, and again, those are 2 teams that you look at in a normal scenario and go, well, they probably wouldn't make the postseason in the old district format, and they used to play with Trinity Christian in their district. But now, with this point system, Episcopal and Providence are both in the playoff position, although, keep in mind, Taylor County is tied with Providence right now in that 6th spot, and Fort White's only a point back. And Fort White, surprisingly, with a loss to Bradford last week. That was a pretty surprising loss for them. And so now at 2-2, Fort White has some work to do, and they have it. I believe they're playing Taylor County this week. So big game for those 2. And Providence and Episcopal will be playing coming up. But I do like the Region 1 there in 3A.
Yeah, and I have been told that Fort White and Providence will make up their game here, I believe, on the 1st of October, which is next Monday. So that game got canceled in week 2, so that game will get played. That game, they finally rescheduled it.
Who was that, you said?
It would be a Providence and Fort White.
Oh, right. We know that was canceled back in week 2 because of the death of the Providence student. But, Right. They will. I'm sure they'll have to replay that game, as you said, next Monday. So yeah, that's a big one too, because Fort White is right behind Providence right now, and in Region 1 and 3A. In Region 2, Kings Academy right now is in first place. First Academy right behind them.
Right.
And then you got Cardinal Newman, Melbourne Central Catholic, Pearson Taylor, and Father Lopez are basically tied for fifth. Taylor is in the fifth spot. They both have the same amount of points.
Right, and Holy Trinity is not far behind. Trinity Prep is sitting there at that last spot, and Trinity Prep is actually disqualified as well. But my understanding is that they are appealing the playoff ban, but the forfeit will not get reversed at any point. But Trinity Prep doesn't feel like the playoff ban is fair, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens from there. But I think you're looking at pretty much your top six in that region, with Region 2 and all that. But Region 3 and 3A, Cardinal Mooney, Berkeley Prep, Tampa Catholic, Clearwater Central Catholic, Trinity Catholic, and St. Petersburg Catholic. And a lot of people are like, whoa, Clearwater Central Catholic at the 4 seed. But I think Clearwater Central Catholic's got to play some of these teams that are ahead of them. They've already beaten Tampa Catholic. Actually, Berkeley Prep, I don't think they have played Tampa Catholic just yet. I know. Let me pull up their schedule here real quick here, because I've got it right here. Yeah, they've already beaten Tampa Catholic and Berkeley Prep. They've beaten two of those teams that are on that schedule, but they still got to deal with Calvary Christian. They still got to deal with Jesuit. They still got to play St. Pete Catholic. I mean, they got to play Cardinal Mooney, which is will be the week 10. So they got better games coming up here as well. So that's definitely going to help them here as they progress along. So that's the thing. And then looking at the thing, Region 4 right now, Benjamin 1, American Heritage out of Delray 2, Westminster Christian 3, Chaminade Madonna 4, Calvary Christian out of Fort Lauderdale 5, and Westminster Academy 6. So
yeah, and this is another instance where Chaminade Madonna, the defending state champion, is only in fourth in the region. That's because their schedule is really tough this year, but they've lost some games already. So, they're in that fourth spot, but I think they'll start winning some games. That'll change. But Benjamin, American Heritage, those are always really good teams. Delray American, at least. Westminster in third. Chaminade Madonna not far behind the third-place team. And Westminster Academy now with a pretty sizable lead in that sixth spot, 38.0. St. Andrews is next at 35, and then the rest of Region 4.
Yeah, definitely on that one. And then going to Class 4A right now, Region 1, it's Rains, West, Nassau, Mariana, South Walton, Rutherford, and Gadsden County in that order. Gadsden County hasn't won a game yet, so they're sitting there at the sixth seed. So, but Andrew Jackson was sitting there looking at it, but with some of the changes that were made, Andrew Jackson's actually now sitting outside looking in. But I think that's going to change.
Well, we'll just call this the Rains region because, they're almost 7 points ahead of Mariana second, and I don't expect anybody in this region is going to mess with Rains. But you're right. At Gaston County, this is one of the things that's kind of a little bit iffy about the system at times. Gaston County's winless. Andrew Jackson has 3 wins. They're 3-2, but Andrew Jackson, because we talked about this in an earlier podcast, Andrew Jackson's decision was, this is Jacksonville, to play only teams that were 4A or below, but that's hurting them because their schedule is not that good. And they've won some games, and that's why right now they're on the outside looking in. Now, they're not far back. 31.0 for Gadsden, 30.6 for Andrew Jackson. So they got a chance, and then it kind of goes down to Walton and Fernandina Beach. But Rains is almost 7 points ahead of Mariana. Mariana, South Walton, very close for second. Rutherford in fourth, and not far behind. West Nassau in fifth. I expect that number to change, and it could change this week. If they beat Baldwin, that would improve their numbers and move them up that list.
Yeah, definitely, and thing and all that, but in that situation, but at least the prospects look a little bit better in Region 2. Dunellen, Villages, PK Young, Santa Fe, Mount Dora, and Interlaken. Now, Interlaken, yeah. I'm iffy about, but
and Josh, these are teams that we know in this area we live in. And Dunellen's always a good team, but they're 2-3 this year. But this is another one where the schedule has been tough for them. They've already played. They played North Marion. They played Cocoa. They played Trinity Catholic last week and beat them. So I can't argue with that. The Village is number 2. They're 5-0. That makes sense. PK Young's 4-1, so they're third. Not the greatest competition, but they're there. Santa Fe is fourth. Nothing against Santa Fe. They did beat Bradford. They've lost to Fort White and the Florida High, and they beat Newberry. So, they've lost to Gainesville. So the schedule is helping Santa Fe. Meldorf fifth. I don't know how Interlochen is sixth. That must be, again, the schedule. But Bradford's not far behind. Neither is South Sumter. Bradford at 34.4, South Sumter 34.4, Keystone Heights at 33.25. Trenton and Umatilla are out. They're having tough seasons. They're not going to make it. But there is still a chance for Keystone, Bradford, and South Sumter to catch Interlochen and even maybe Mount Dora. And Bradford, a big win for them against Fort White last week. So I think they're going to see some changes in Region 2.
Yeah, definitely, indeed, and I say that, but looking at Region 3, Avon Park 1, Bishop Verrocke 2, LaBelle 3, Cocoa 4, Lake Highland Prep 5, Oasis 6. Cocoa's 2-2, people. You got to think Cocoa is struggling just slightly a little bit, but new head coach there this year, so it's not the Johnny Wilkinson show anymore at Cocoa.
No, and that was to be expected, but I think Cocoa will make the playoffs. Still, they're in good shape. Avon Park at the top, and Bishop Verrocke, those are solid teams as well. So, but I think Cocoa's in good shape. Lake Highland Prep, and then Oasis now, right now, in the sixth spot in Region 3.
Yeah, definitely. And then Region 4, Booker T. Washington, Monsignor Pace, University School, Glade Central, Key West, and Pinecrest. Those are your top 6 there. And Booker T. Washington, no surprise that they're holding the number 1 spot right now. 2-3. Their schedule tells the story. Tough after week, being tough.
Yeah, it's they've got you're right, they're back at the top, and that's what the reason. Last year, that was why they didn't make the playoffs, and even though they went 5-5. But this year, you're seeing that be a little bit different with the schedule they played. And that's a tough Region 4 down there. I mean, Washington, Booker T. Washington, Monsignor Pace, University School, and Glade Central. That top 4 is extremely tough. And then I think Key West, too. Remember what Key West had to go through last year. I think they only played 7 games due to Hurricane Irma. They still made it to the playoffs. So, they're right back in that 5 spot this year in Region 4.
Yeah, it's certainly right there. And looking at Class 5A here, I don't think there was too many changes here. But the way it would look right now, Gabi would be 1. Don't look at Bowles. Bowles might have the highest point average, but Bowles would not be a 1 seed if they were to seed the playoffs. Gabi 1, Trinity Christian 2, Mosley 3, Ribault 4, Bowles 5, West Florida 6, Ponte Vedra 7, Wakulla 8. That would be.
And you're basing that on district standings,
right? I'm going deeper than what the points is showing. I'm going based upon what the district looks like right now. We're in the district standings. So.
Right, and right now Trinity Christian leads 5A District 4, and again with a head-to-head over Bowles. Although Ponte Vedra also does not have a loss in district play, nor does Bishop Kenny, but that's going to work itself out with them playing each other. But yeah, that's right. Looking at the straight-up numbers, it would be Godby number 1, and then Bowles would fall further down. So wondering if the FHSAA could do that way, but they are going by the region numbers at this point, not by the districts. But they still do have districts. Yeah, I think that I'm interested to see if Ribault can make a run here. They're starting to play better football after a tough start. Swanee still has a shot in there as well. I don't think Stanton's going to be able to make it. You got Pensacola and Arnold in the Panhandle, some teams to watch. I don't think Bishop Kenny this year. Obviously, I do their games every week, but I mean, with Trinity, Ponte Vedra, and Bowles coming up, they probably don't make the postseason.
No, but they were very close last year. But looking at Region 2, right to second. Nature Coast would be 1, North Marion 2, Baker 3, Zephyr Hills 4, Menendez 5, Ridgeview 6, Palaca 7, Crystal River 8, Eastside sitting right on the outside. I mean, and Eastside and North Marion play Friday night right here here in Gainesville, and Joe Binkles is saying North Marion by just a hair, but there's Eastside's been a team to be reckoned with.
Who is in the 8th spot? Eastside, right?
No, Crystal River. Eastside sitting right on the outside at the 9th spot.
And who else is right on the outside looking at?
Orange Park.
Orange Park. Yeah, and that talking with Corey Davis the other day about that when we were at the Media Advisory Committee meeting, the FHSAA in Gainesville. He like myself and Orange Park grads, but they're off to a nice start at 4-1. They've beaten Clay. They've beaten. They got Ridgeview this week, but still a tough road with Ridgeview, Baker County in that district. But you're right, Eastside really, again, with that being a 3-team district and 5A District 6, North Marion Eastside this week is for the district title because Bellevue is down. They have scored only 7 points all season, I believe. And so the game between North Marion and Eastside this week will decide who's going to win that district. And you mentioned Joe Pinko's. Yeah, and this is the game Friday night, which will be broadcast in the Prep Zone here in Gainesville and radio. But, last year Eastside won this game at North Marion. North Marion is a much better team this year than they were last year. Saw them play Gainesville last week. They ended up losing in overtime. But North Marion is a tough team. But so is Eastside. And Eastside has Anthony Richardson. So that's going to be a fun game Friday night. I think it could go either way. Obviously, the winner of that. And I think even if North Marion loses this game with their schedule, they're still going to be in the playoffs. Eastside, though, I think they have to win this game because their schedule hasn't been as tough. And even though they do have Gainesville still to play, but right now Eastside's 4-1, and easily the toughest opponent they played is Fuel, so they lost to in week 1. And then after that, it's probably Lake Weir they beat last week.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Looking at Region 3, right now the seeds would be Hardy 1, Jesuit 2, Lakewood 3, Cypress Lake 4, DeSoto County 5, Jefferson 6, Immokalee 7, who is winless, by the way, and Southeast with 8. And Hardy right now, there's a 3-point separation between them and Jesuit in that 1 and 2 seed, 44-75 to 41-75.
Yeah, big lead for Hardy there, but Jesuit still some tough games to go for them. Yeah, Region 3, a lot of teams down in Tampa Bay and in Southwest, kind of down to the Southwest Florida area. So, pretty impressive. Yeah, I guess the biggest surprise here, Immokalee is 7th despite being winless, and welcome again to strength of schedule, and that's why Immokalee can find themselves in that 7th spot. But I think, again, that's something that's going to straighten itself out with still 5 weeks left.
Yeah, definitely, indeed. And looking at this one right now, the last of Region 4 right now, it's Rockledge 1, Orlando Jones 2, Plantation American Heritage 3, Fort Pierce Westwood 4th, but Fort Pierce Westwood has a 37 average, which would actually put them 10th in the region, based if you just look at it straight by the numbers. But they would be the first team from 5A15 sitting there to be thing. And you got Space Coast at 5, Coconut Creek 6, Cardinal Gibbons 7, Mirrored Island 8, and right now looking between Rockledge and Jones, Rockledge 45-40 and Jones at 42-25. So there is a difference there as well between those two teams.
Yep, pretty much, and that's I guess not overly surprising, but it as you said, it's pretty interesting to see right now. And that South Florida region, Region 4, is incredibly tough. And as usual, you got the 2-time defending state champ there in American Heritage. You got Rockledge, who's a postseason, stalwart every year. And Cardinal Gibbons in there as well. You mentioned Westwood because of their district is up there. So, yeah, lots of things to shake out there. Don't sleep on Orlando Jones. And by the way, Orlando Jones always runs into the American Heritage Rockledge kind of area. But keep in mind, if there would be a home team playing in Camping World Stadium in Orlando in December in a state championship game, it would have to be Jones High School because they can see the stadium from their school. So I always kind of root for Jones to make it there because, the entire area would be at that game.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with you on that one. Looking at 6A Region 1 right now, Pine Forest is actually sitting, Pine Forest would be the 1 seed, Niceville 2, Navarre 3, St. Augustine 4. But the funny thing about Niceville, the funny thing about Pine Forest is they beat Navarre, but I think that'll eventually correct itself here as well. But then Escambia 5, Gulf Breeze 6, Crestview 7, Fort Walton Beach 8.
Yeah, and you're right. Right now, according to the numbers, St. Augustine is 6th, but again, in their district right now,
there's 6. Yeah, but there's 6 total, but they would be the 4 seed based upon if they were declared the district winner today. But I think that's that this will shake out like you said. That's
right, and they still have a shot to win the district title. And as you mentioned, despite being 1-4, I mean, keep in mind, St. Augustine, their losses have been to Bartram Trail, Flagler Palm Coast. They beat Baker County week 1. They lost to Menendez, and then they lost to Ponte Vedra. Those are all most likely playoff teams. So they still have a good shot to win their district, despite, because it's got Ed White. No offense, Josh Middleburg. Tough year. Nice is winless this year. Nice is still winless. Inglewood hasn't won a game this year. And so
Inglewood has won one game.
I'm sorry, Inglewood's won one, but Nice is winless. And you're looking at a district that St. Augustine could win, so that would move them into those top 8 spots. But, yeah, the Panhandle, of course, dominates the top of this between Pine Forest and Escambia in District 1, Navarre and Gulf Breeze in District 2, Niceville, and Crestview and Fort Walton Beach in District 3. So, yeah, the Panhandle kind of dominates this one. And then you have that district right in the St. Johns County and Duval County area in District 4.
Yeah, I definitely agree, there on that one. And looking at Region 2, the thing, Vanguard would be 1, Armwood 2, Mitchell 3, Lake Wells 4, then Gainesville 5, Lake Weir 6, South Lake 7, Chamberlain 8.
How about Lake Weir and South Lake in the 6 and 7 spots? And Lake Weir started the year 3-0. They've dropped the last 2 games to Gainesville and District Play in the East Side. So, but Gainesville, you're right. You've got 4 teams from District 5 in there, and they still have to play each other. Vanguard has to play Gainesville. Gainesville has to play South Lake. Vanguard has to play Lake Weir and South Lake as well. So, yeah, there's going to be some things straightening out there. And then, of course, you got Armwood just hanging around there as well. And you've got to expect they're going to be the favorite, although in District 7. Although Chamberlain is another team that they may have to deal with as well as Hillsborough. But, yeah, that's kind of dominated right now by the North Central Florida teams, and then the Armwood District in District 7.
Yeah, definitely, indeed. Looking at Region 3, how about this? Okay, let's start with this. Largo 1, Naples 2, Cape Coral 3, Lehigh 4, Fort Myers 5, Charlotte 6, Barron Collier 7, Golden Gate 8. In that order.
Not much changes from what the actual rankings were, with the exception of Cape Coral and Naples, Lehigh and Fort Myers switched spots, I believe. So yeah, that's really
actually you're right. Never mind, you're correct. You're absolutely correct. So let me repeat that again. I was looking at one thing and I did not look at the correct thing. So Largo 1, Naples 2, Cape Coral 3, Fort Myers 4, Lehigh 5. And then actually Charlotte 6, Barron Collier 7, Golden Gate 8. So that's the way it would be right this second. So there was a correction there with the points adjustments there on that between Lehigh and Fort Myers. So that did get fixed there on the standings. And then Region 4, Miami Central 1, which is right this second. That's the way it would look. Palm Bay Heritage 2, Dillard 3, Mainland 4, Carroll City 5, Miami Northwestern 6, Sebastian River 7, New Smyrna Beach 8.
Yeah. New Smyrna Beach slipping in there out of District 13. Well, as usual, Mainland from District 13, but you mentioned the District 16. You've got Central, Carroll City, and Northwestern. So only 3 teams right now from District 16, which is one less than they had last year when 4 got in. And Miami New Orleans hasn't won a game this year, so they were in the postseason last year. If you're looking at another team from District 16, maybe Boyd Anderson. But yeah,
well, they're 15, but they're 15, but they still would probably not be in. I mean, it's that right there.
I'm looking at the. I thought it's a District 16, so right. But further down. But those 3 teams, you got Central, Carroll City at the top, Heritage in District 14, Palm Bay, and Sebastian River in there right now. And then between Mainland and New Smyrna Beach for the District 13 title and 6A. But yeah, Region 4 is pretty loaded. It usually is, and that's why I always feel a little bit for Mainland, because Mainland makes the playoffs every year. They win their district, and then they have to go to South Florida and play, or they have to play Miami Central or Carroll City or Northwestern. And, it's tough for them to get through every year. But it's going to have to do it again. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. And let's try to get through this, because I got to get Will Brown from the St. Augustine Record on here and in a few minutes. But we're going through the thing. Highest point average in the state belongs to the Columbia High Tigers at a 48 average rate now, 48.00, but they would be the 1 seed in Region 1 set in Class 7A. It'd be Columbia at 1, Buchholz 2, Edgewater 3, Lincoln 4, and then after that, you would go Robert E. Lee 5, Oakleaf 6, Fleming Island 7, Fletcher 8.
Right. And that means right now,
Bartram Trail would be out.
Is out, right. But again, long way to go. Bartram Trail still has games with Fleming Island and with Buchholz in 7A District 3, so a chance to win their way back up there. And also right now from the Panhandle, Childs and Leon in District 1 are on the outside looking in. And then you go to the bottom with Eastridge, who made the playoffs last year and is winless this season. But Columbia, well-deserved. They have played at the toughest schedule maybe around, and it just gets tougher this week. And it'll be interesting to see how the rest of 7A Region 1 shapes up, because it should be pretty close there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that right there. Looking at Region 2 in 7A, Lakeland 1, Harmony 2, Sickles 3, Vieira 4, Winter Haven 5, Plant 6, Lake Nona 7, Wiregrass Ranch 8.
Yeah, that's another one that's going to be interesting to watch and see if Melbourne can play their way in. They're right now on the outside looking in. Kathleen and also Martin County. So there's some teams that have been in the postseason before. And yeah, that Lakeland back at the top, but some teams on there. And again, this is mostly the Tampa Bay area, down in that Central Florida area as well. And you got some really good teams between Lakeland, also Winter Haven and Plant, and Vieira, of course. Vieira team who has been perennially a powerhouse, making the state championship game a couple years ago.
Yeah, definitely. And starting in Region 3 right now would be Braden River 1, Tampa Bay Tech 2, Countryside 3, Riverdale 4, and then you have Venice 5, Palmetto 6, St. Petersburg 7, Pinellas Park 8.
Yeah, Braden River back on top. And despite the issues they had in the off season, they're right back up there. And you're again, this is going to be a tough one. Region 3 with Tampa Bay Tech, with Venice, last year's state champions, and then looking further down towards Palmetto and Countryside. And yeah, this will be another one that'll shake out. East Lake right now outside looking in, but they've had a good team through the years. And again, this is an area really dominated by Tampa Bay and also from down in Southwest Florida that way towards Sarasota, Bradenton.
Yeah, definitely in that one. And then looking at Region 4 here, you go from Dwyer 1, St. Thomas Aquinas 2, MacArthur 3, Doral Academy 4, West Broward 5, Forest Hill 6, Mater Academy 7, Miami Springs 8.
Yeah, South Florida and Dwyer and Aquinas both will make the playoffs. Aquinas lost to Miami Central last week for their first loss of the year, but again, they're nationally ranked. Dwyer, we know about them as well. These are all South Florida teams, so a battle between those teams as well, and we'll see if there's some other teams below that top 8 that can make a run heading into the last half of the season.
Okay, and there's some changes here that are going. This one, when I go into 8A here, Region 1, real quick, there is some changes that have been shuffled here. So I gotta. Just give me a second to follow along here, because it's going to be a little weird the way I go with it. Wekiva 1, Sandalwood 2, Lake Mary 3, Winter Park 4, and then after that we've got Apopka with 5. Oviedo actually will not be this. Actually, hold on. That's the thing. Seminole would be the 6th seed. Actually, yeah, the Seminole would be the 6th seed. Oviedo would be 5. Actually, hold on. No, the thing. Give me a second. DeLand actually would be 6. Seminole would be 7. And then at that particular point, Oviedo would be 8, leaving Boone sitting on the outside. So that's there was a little there were some changes there, but with the numbers, but that's where we stand there.
Also, that would leave Flagler Palm Coast on the outside right now.
Yes,
and but there's not a lot of difference between those teams, as you said. The points are the points are really a huge difference. Actually, unless you're looking at numbers different than me, I don't see how Okay, you have a veto ahead of Flagler Palm Coast. All right, I have them with less points, but I guess that's based on the district's play. But right, I'm looking at the list of points, but Mandarin out, but I think Mandarin still has a chance. And again, they played Rains, they played Lee. They've beaten DeLand already this year. They still have a game with Sandalwood, so watch out for them in District 1 there in Region 1. And kind of at the top's been a good team. Sandalwood, they look pretty good. And they have a game coming up with Rains next week. So Sandalwood is a team to watch in Jacksonville. And Apopka, they'll be there as well. And, of course, all the Orlando area teams, as you said, Oviedo, Winter Park, Lake Mary, and there, and Boone right now out. But interesting to see Flagler Palm Coast, who made it into the postseason undefeated last year, lost in the first round, right now is out.
Yeah, definitely, indeed. And then let me try to wrap this up here real quick because I got to get Will Brown on here. But right now, Vero Beach sitting at 1, Osceola 2, Manatee 3, Dr. Phillips 4, and Dr. Phillips is not in that top 10 zone. Actually, they are actually 11th in their region with turns of points, but they would be the district champ right this second if the district was called. So that's what we're looking at. Centennial 5, Treasure Coast 6, George Jenkins 7, Ridge Community 8. So that's the standings right this second for district region 2 in Class 8A.
Right, Dr. Phillips, the defending state champ in 8A, but their district includes Olympia, Cypress Creek, and Freedom. So Dr. Phillips, despite a tough beginning of the year, was the favorite to win that. That would get them in there, get them back in the postseason. But you got Vero Beach, Osceola, and Manatee in there. So 3 really good teams at the very top of Region 2.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's get through Regions 3 and 4 here. Region 3 right this second. Atlantic 1, Seminole Ridge 2, Deerfield Beach 3, Plantation 4, Jupiter 5. Actually, hold on. Let's correct this because they actually just fixed this. They actually think for Palm Beach Central. Palm Beach Central was actually missing off the list here for some reason, but they've got it fixed. Palm Beach Central 5, Jupiter 6, Taravella 7, and then Piper 8. So that's where we're standing at right now. Is Palm Beach Central actually would be? Yeah, let me hold on one. Yeah, that's correct. Yep. Yeah, I just love it when you get changes real quick here and you're trying to figure out which way to go. But and then region 4 here, South Dade sitting at the 1 seed, Columbus 2, Hialeah 3, Belen Jesuit 4, Miami Palmetto 5, Miami Southridge 6. The 5 and 6, those they're going to play this week. Homestead 7, Coral Gables 8.
Yeah, South Dade, Columbus, is I believe ranked number 1 in 8A most of the season so far. South Dade is up there as well. So those are all South Florida teams. So that'll be tough as well. We've seen Southridge win the state title out of this region, and South Dade in the past as well. So, that's going to be another interesting race to the finish down there in that region 4 of 8A.
Yeah, definitely, indeed. Well, Marty, I do appreciate you taking a few minutes of time to get on here. We had a pretty good discussion. I got to get Will Brown on, and then I got Irish Bill coming on. But good show going on here tonight, and we'll try to get back to where we're both in the same place in the same area.
I just want to say that, you may have talked about this earlier, but it's been a really good week at the FHSAA headquarters in Gainesville, the Board of Directors meeting Monday, the Hall of Fame dinner Sunday night. You and I got a chance to go to the dinner, and it's always a neat event at FHSAA. And also the ability to check out the Media Advisory Committee on Tuesday, and I think that's going to be something that's going to be very helpful. Will Brown, who you'll be talking to in a moment, on that committee. So, a very interesting week. The Public Liaison Advisory Committee I'm a part of, and apparently now I'm chairing, not by my own choice, but looking forward to having some more lively discussions, and looking forward to hearing some more good discussions coming out of that Media Advisory Committee. So, it's been a good week, Josh. I think for high school sports in Florida and high school football as well, and for you in Florida HS football as well.
Yeah, definitely, indeed, and I definitely appreciate it, Marty. I definitely hope you have a good night, and we'll catch you around.
Yeah, talk to you. I'll talk to you, I'm sure, next Wednesday. We'll do this again.
Definitely indeed. All right. Appreciate it. That was Marty Palman joining us here on the FloridaJustFootball.com radio show, and we'll be back here in about a few minutes, about 4 minutes, and then we'll talk to Will Brown from the St. Augustine Record and talk about St. Johns County football, some of the changing of the guard, and actually my fellow media advisory committee member. Yeah, we'll definitely have that. We'll be right back here on the FloridaJustFootball.com radio show.
High school sports fans, follow your team live with the free ScoreStream mobile app. Just download ScoreStream to get real-time scores, photos, and awesome video from your game and your rivals. Plus, follow your favorite teams and friends. Get real-time high school sports from ScoreStream.
The Florida Athletic Coaches Association has been the state's premier coaches association for high school coaches since 1936. From coaching clinics to all-star games for all Florida High School Athletic Association team sports, the Florida Athletic Coaches Association has something for all coaches to be involved with, from Pensacola to Key West. To inquire about membership, visit the Florida Athletic Coaches Association online at floridacoaches.org. That is floridacoaches.org. Legacy Team Sales is the official clothing sponsor of FloridaHSFootball.com, serving the entire state of Florida with everything a team needs and beyond. From shirts to ball caps and from jerseys to promotional gear, Legacy Team Sales has it all, including embroidery and screen printing services. Visit them online at shoplts.com or visit their showroom and warehouse at 1417 Southwest 17th Street in Ocala between US 301 and State Road 200. FloridaHSFootball.com is a proud media partner of the Florida High School 7v7 Association. The goal of the Florida High School 7v7 Association is to provide high school football teams around the state an association that complies with Florida High School Athletic Association bylaws and policies while being able to provide off-season training for their skilled position athletes. For teams interested in membership starting in January 2018, visit the Florida High School 7v7 Association online at FH7v7A.com.
High school sports fans, follow your team live with the free ScoreStream mobile app. Just download ScoreStream to get real-time scores, photos, and awesome video from your game and your rivals. Plus, follow your favorite teams and friends. Get real-time high school sports from ScoreStream.
Legacy Team Sales is the official clothing sponsor of FloridaHSFootball.com, serving the entire state of Florida with everything a team needs and beyond. From shirts to ball caps and from jerseys to promotional gear, Legacy Team Sales has it all, including embroidery and screen printing services. Visit them online at shoplts.com or visit their showroom and warehouse at 1417 Southwest 17th Street in Ocala between US 301 and State Road 200. The Florida Athletic Coaches Association has been the state's premier coaches association for high school coaches since 1936. From coaching clinics to all-star games for all Florida High School Athletic Association team sports, the Florida Athletic Coaches Association has something for all coaches to be involved with, from Pensacola to Key West. To inquire about membership, visit the Florida Athletic Coaches Association online at floridacoaches.org. That is floridacoaches.org.
High school sports fans, follow your team live with the free ScoreStream mobile app. Just download ScoreStream to get real-time scores, photos, and awesome video from your game and your rivals. Plus, follow your favorite teams and friends. Get real-time high school sports from ScoreStream.
FloridaHSFootball.com is a proud media partner of the Florida High School 7v7 Association. The goal of the Florida High School 7v7 Association is to provide high school football teams around the state an association that complies with Florida High School Athletic Association bylaws and policies while being able to provide off-season training for their skilled position athletes. For teams interested in membership starting in January 2018, visit the Florida High School 7v7 Association online at FH7v7A.com.
High school sports fans, follow your team live with the free ScoreStream mobile app. Just download ScoreStream to get real-time scores, photos, and awesome video from your game and your rivals. Plus, follow your favorite teams and friends. Get real-time high school sports from ScoreStream.
All right, welcome back here to the FloridaHSFootball.com radio show. Josh Wilson here. And again, if you were listening in when you heard the system crash earlier, I'm still shaking my head a little bit over that. But technology, gotta love it. As we come back here, but again, that's week 6 here in the Sunshine State. It's hard to believe that we're already at the midway point. Now, after that, it's just going to be all downhill to the playoffs. I mean, the thing. But joining me now. He's not only my fellow committee member on the FHSAA Media Advisory Committee that we just met yesterday in Gainesville at the FHSAA offices, but a great reporter at the St. Augustine Record, Will Brown, and you know, I mean, I love talking to Will because there's just so much knowledge we can bounce off, Will. I just tell you what, this is a strange year for St. Johns County football. I've got to tell you, it's strange.
Very strange year. As I like to tell a lot of people, there's one reason why I don't make predictions. I tell folks what to look out for, because if I would have made some predictions on some of these games, I would have been made to look like a fool. So there have been a number of games that have surprised me, a number of teams that have surprised me. And it's only going to continue.
That's the thing. I mean, let's. I guess I got to find a place to start, because no matter where I start, it's going to lead to another twist and turn, and probably the wrong turn at the fork in the road somewhere here in all this. But I guess I have to start with St. Augustine, because St. Augustine has been that dominant program for years, but the changing of the guard has come. And if you said that all the changing the guard with St. Augustine was going to happen this year, and you said it last year, I probably would have laughed at everybody. That's the way. That's the way I would have like, okay, you're kidding me. Yeah, St. Augustine's not gonna, potentially be, fighting for a playoff berth at some point here. Here they are. We're talking about that potential sitting there, existing now.
It's interesting. I spoke with a birdie who. Last year, might have been 2 years ago, who said he thought that the changing of the guard was going to be actually last year for St. Augustine. Now, I think he said this is either spring 2017 or late 2016. So before the 2017 season started, this person thought that the changing of the guard for St. Augustine would be last year, but the Yellow Jackets had so many kids who had waited their turn, and they had so much depth and numbers that they were able to have a 12-1 season. But this year, they just don't have the numbers. They've had so many injuries, and St. Augustine is a school that is very much predicated on kids who live in St. Augustine playing at St. Augustine High School. They're not like a number of other public schools in other parts of the state where, someone might transfer in and someone might transfer out. The strength of St. Augustine has always been that kids who live in St. Augustine go to St. Augustine High School. And this year is one year where that hasn't 100% been the case. So you combine those three things together, plus inexperience, and you have 1-4. Plus, to be fair, I mean, it's not like their losses are the scrubs either. Flagler Palm Coast is 4-1. Ponte Vedra is 4-1. Menendez is 4-1. And Bertram Trail is 3-2. So they're no, I mean, yes, they're 1-4, but it's not like they're out here losing to winless teams either.
No, that's the case. But it's like people are like, well, what's happened to St. Augustine? Well, this is it's like you said, it's a combination of multiple factors. Why would you even throw in the fact of the growth in the northern part of St. Johns County, where you've got Ponte Vedra, you've got Nice, you've got Bartram Trail, you've got Creekside along basically a line going from Ponte Vedra all the way over to the St. Johns River? Do you think that is also playing now a factor more into St. Augustine being where they're at now?
No, because St. Augustine has always, they never expressly say it, but you can kind of infer or read between the lines. They never think that they think that, okay, we put in the effort, we have the skill, we're never going to lose to a county opponent. That's just the way they think at St. Augustine High School. And frankly, you can't blame them for thinking that. I mean, let's be transparent. The Florida School for the Deaf and Blind has beaten St. Augustine more than Bartram Trail has, more than Ponte Vedra has, more than Menendez has. So it's not like, and the last time St. Augustine played FSDB was 1940. So it's not like the...
We have to go back a long ways for that one.
Exactly. So, St. Augustine deservedly believes that they go into every game against county opponents like we're going to win. If we handle our business, we're going to win.
I mean, that just right there. I mean, that's the thing. And then now you start here. You go back. Okay, Menendez won, Ponte Vedra's won, Bartram Trail's won. And I was talking earlier. I mean, this is just looking at the whole thing. I mean, and Nice is 0-5 right this second. We'll leave Nice out of the conversation here. But we're talking. Hey, Menendez. Okay. I mean, how long did it take Menendez? 19 losses before they finally beat St. Augustine. I mean, I think
it was
18 or 19.
17 for Menendez. 17 for Menendez, 19 for Bartram.
Okay, I've got the numbers mixed up, but it's been we're talking streaks that it's like the school opens and they play St. Augustine right out of the gate and they haven't been able to win until this year. That's the thing.
And now the school that St. Augustine has beaten the most without ever losing is Ridgeview, who I think they're 12-0 all time against Ridgeview.
And they don't see Ridgeview on the schedule this year, so that streak's holding for now. So let's just, but looking at it, I mean Menendez, with the start that you mentioned, and then you got you got Ponte Vedra, and I mean I think if you look at the one team that some people are kind of wondering about is Bartram Trail. They dropped a district game to Oakleaf. I mean, I know that it's a younger team over there at Bartram Trail with Daryl Sutherland. It's not your last year's Bartram Trail team. Let's just put it that way.
No, but they had 40 seniors last year, and here's the thing for Bartram. They better start finding ways to slow people down on defense, because if they don't, they will be watching the playoffs from home.
And I'm just going to say that as the evidence shows on the first release of the FHSAA Playoff Points rankings, they would be out right now.
They better find a way to stop some folks. And it starts on Friday night. Now, granted, Creekside has not played exactly the world's strongest schedule, but when those kids are confident, they have belief that they can win, and they've been effective offensively. So if I'm the Bears, and here's the thing, Bartram is playing at Creekside. That is a district game, so Bartram definitely needs to win that one, because 2 losses in that district would pretty much mean they'd have to win out and get help elsewhere to make the playoffs.
I agree with you on that one, and just speaking of the, Bartram Trail 194 to 141. They're giving up some points while scoring some points. So it's like you said, they've got to find some ways to stop some people.
You can't win shootouts every week, because if sometimes your gun draws blanks. And I'm not saying that Bartram does that, but I'm just saying you can't. It's like a basketball reference. You can't keep, if you live by the 3, you'll eventually die by the 3. You keep playing shootouts, and eventually you're going to be on the wrong end of a shootout, as Oakleaf proved.
Yeah, and that's the big thing right there, and that's helping Oakleaf along the way, because think now at the end of the day, it might help Bartram Trail out if Oakleaf keeps winning games and Bartram Trail starts to pick up wins where they need to. But I think at the end of the day, it's, again, you can't keep playing. Yeah, you're right. You cannot keep playing shootout mentality football every week, or it's eventually gonna catch up to you, and at that point, I'm just looking at it here real quick. Last week was not as bad for them playing shootout football. 44-14 over St. Augustine. Yeah, okay, that's one thing. But you like you said, the confidence for Creekside, who's 4-1 coming into this game, that's huge, because usually we have not seen Creekside come into this game at 4-1 over the last few years.
No, Creekside has, over the last, I think, 3 seasons, Creekside scored 7 points against Bartram. And of those 7, those 7 were in garbage time. So right. If the Knights get an early touchdown, or even 2 early touchdowns, considering that game is at Creekside, and it's going to be a sellout. I mean, it's going to be standing room only. Those two schools, it's a very friendly rivalry, but they want to beat the brains out of each other anytime they're between the lines of any competitive sport. I mean, they want to beat the kids from the Bartram kids want to beat the Creekside kids, and vice versa if they're playing hopscotch. So, you put them on a football field where none of the games have been competitive, and Bartram has won, I think, 9 out of 10 meetings, and Creekside thinks this might be one of their best teams. It's going to be interesting. So, I will say this for Bartram, though. I think this district is wide open. Just because Oakleaf beat Bartram does not mean that the Knights have that the Knights are the team to beat. Right. I mean, Oakleaf is going to Fleming Island on Friday night. And then this is who they have left. They host Trinity Christian. They play at Rains, at Buchholz, host Creekside, who gave them all they could handle and should have beat them last year if not for a missed field goal, and then go to Vanguard. So Oakleaf has to win. I think Oakleaf has to win the district, because otherwise, if they have one district loss and it comes down to tiebreakers and all that stuff, I think that Oakleaf might have a couple. I mean, I'd be surprised if anybody can beat all three of Trinity Christian, Rains, and Vanguard. If you do that, you deserve everything you get.
Yeah, they beat them all, then we'll be talking about a top 10 ranking in 7A. Let's just put it that way. I mean, we'll talk a ranking, but at that point, until that happens,
if they beat those three, they should be the number 2 seed in 7A behind Lake City, Columbia.
And that would be that would be. I would agree with you on that one and all that. But look, I mean, we're going to Ponte Vedra. 4-1. I mean, then you Menendez 4-1. I mean, you're talking two teams that in two different districts. So and two different regions that are most likely going to if they keep winning the way they're winning, they'll be in the playoffs, considering, I mean, granted that Ponte Vedra did lose to Menendez 27-10 last week, but, and I believe that's a game that Ponte Vedra had Menendez sitting there, made him come back on. Had to make him fight.
Ponte Vedra played relatively well, and their defense, which has been the backbone of this team all season, played well. If someone said, "Oh, well, Pedro scored 27 points against Ponte Vedra," well, 7 of those points were. I mean, Ponte Vedra left anywhere between. I mean, it's fair to say Ponte Vedra left anywhere between 9 and 17 points on the board on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
So. Menendez scored 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns, but one was a fumble return for a touchdown, and the second was a short field where Menendez got the ball at the Ponte Vedra 33. So, that's how Menendez scored their 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. Those are the only 2 competitive fourth-quarter points that Ponte Vedra's allowed all season. They've allowed 28 points in the fourth quarter, but 14 of those were to Westside, and they were up 34-0 at that point. So, yes, Westside scored 14 against Ponte Vedra in the district opener, but, I mean, they were up by 5 touchdowns at the start of the fourth quarter.
That was garbage time. Garbage time touchdowns.
Yeah, garbage time points. So, I mean, those are the only points that Ponte Vedra's defense has allowed in the fourth quarter all season. If you have a defense that does not allow points in the fourth quarter, you have a chance to win just about every game you play.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, Ponte Vedra, returns a number of people on defense that, gave Trinity Christian all they wanted last year. Trinity Christian only beat them 21-3. And the Conquerors led, I think it was 7-3 at halftime. So Ponte Vedra's defense, which Matt Toblin is a defensive coach and really focuses on the secondary, so it's not surprising there, Ponte Vedra's defense is going to win them a lot of games this year. A lot of games. And, the Sharks have a schedule where if they can, if they can really keep it going, they will. I would be surprised if they're not a playoff team, because Ponte Vedra this week goes to Bishop Kenny, who's a good team, but a beatable team, I guess is the way to say it. But here's rest of Ponte Vedra's schedule: at Bishop Kenny, at Terry Parker, home against Trinity Christian, home against Bowles, and then they go and they host Creekside.
I mean, that's just, you gotta. I mean, that schedule right there. I mean, it's just, if they go through that and win it, I don't doubt Ponte Vedra one bit that, in that situation that they can win these games and be in the playoffs. It's just, I think maybe probably the biggest question mark will be, how do you handle Trinity Christian? But the
Conqueror's got to come to TV.
Yeah.
So.
And there's a good chance that the Conquerors might be coming in. Hey, they by the time they get to that game, the Conquerors might have a loss on in that loss column, because hey, they got Columbia this week.
Right, but here's the thing. If PV beats Trinity Christian, and I'm not saying they will, but I'm saying Ponte Vedra is going to give the Conquerors all they want, and then some. If the Sharks manage to do that, and it could, at worst, I see Ponte Vedra at 7-3, at worst. But I will say this: if Creekside keeps winning, the November 2nd game where Creekside goes to Ponte Vedra might be one of those two schools might be playing for a playoff berth, and maybe even both of them.
Yeah, and that's the thing, And then speaking of Menendez, before I get to before the other surprise that I'll bring into this real quick, Menendez 4-1. I mean, the only thing is, I thought they had a chance to beat Baker County, and Baker County just for some reason turned on the Jets last in week 4 in district play. That just for some reason, the Baker County, the light bulb went off finally.
Well, I was at that game, and Baker County was good and mad that they felt they were being disrespected by Lottie Dottie and everybody, because people thought they were, as the coaches were saying on the sidelines, we were 20-point underdogs. 20-point underdogs. And I'm like, and I thought it was something like 20? I mean, maybe double digit, but I don't know if anybody thought y'all were going to lose by 20 on your home field. Whatever it is, but I mean, it was enough of a fire starter to light a fire under the Wildcats offense, which had not been good through the first 3 games. I mean, but they finally got some things together, and a kid named Scooby Graham is a sophomore. He's going to be a good one. He is going to be a good one. So as long as their quarterback is judicious with the football, I mean, Baker County can really cause some teams some problems. But that 5-5A district, if you'd have told me that Palatka would have the season that they're having, and that Ridgeview would have the season they're having, and that Clay would have 3 losses before October.
I mean, even Orange Park, man. It's that district. I mean, it's really a thing. You're right about Clay and Menendez and Clay this week. Menendez is only a 6-point favorite according to Joe Pinko's, but man, and this is speaking just on Clay itself. If Clay loses here, Clay won't be making the playoffs. I don't think they had no chance at this point. The salvage the chances of playoff berth, they have to beat Menendez, but Menendez is good. Got it. I mean, it's strange football. Strange football.
But I will say this: I underestimate Josh Hoekstra. Someone underestimates Josh Hoekstra and what those coaches over there can do at their own peril. Because and to be fair to Menendez, I think that they learned a valuable lesson having to go to McClenny and lose to Baker County, because they implied that they were a little bit overconfident. They thought, oh well, Baker County struggled with a St. Augustine team who, in the eyes of the Falcons, wasn't all that good, and who they beat the brakes off of. So they thought they were going to beat the brakes off of Baker County too. Doesn't always work like that. And so I think losing to Baker County humbled Menendez enough so that they will not sleep on anyone else on their schedule.
That's what you have. That's what it takes sometimes to be humbled. That's how you do it. Sometimes you just got to take the slice of humble pie and move along.
And their passing game has come along, so it's no longer that you can just send 9 men in the box, slow down Ty Edwards, slow down Kenny Logan, and think, oh, we slowed down the Falcons. Not so much. Yep. Not so much. Michael King, Menendez's quarterback, had a phenomenal game against Ponte Vedra. I think I had him for 13 or 15 for with 2 touchdown passes. You know, if you're able to do that, play this. If Menendez is throwing the football 15 times and they're winning football games, oh boy.
Yeah, oh boy.
That's scary. That is a scary idea for any team who has to face them. They threw it 15 times and won. That's scary prospect.
Yeah, there you go. And then let's get to the other surprise of St. Johns County this year. I say this good one for last. St. Joseph Academy 5-0. When was the last time that St. Joseph Academy was 5-0?
2015. And
right, okay,
you know,
you're right. But I'm talking about when they're but they weren't playoff eligible at that time. But when they were this good and have a chance at the playoffs. That's probably a longer time then. I mean, just because when was the last time they made the playoffs? I'm sure you've got that more in front of you than I do. It's been a while. I know that.
The last time they made the playoffs, I want to say it was 2006. I want to say they were 9-1 that year. 9-1 sounds about right.
So it's been.
But they lost the first round of the playoffs, and I think it was the University of Christian.
But it's been a good few minutes for them.
Oh yes, and they are. I mean, as fate would have it, their schedule is setting up nicely for them. I mean, they play the Florida School for the Deaf and Blind on Thursday night, which, you know, someone might say, well, why is St. Joe playing FSDB? Well, because it's a rivalry that dates back to 1928. That's why. The two schools have played. This will be the 86th meeting. You know, and regardless of how good or how bad programs are, you know, when you have history that dates back that long, you shouldn't just throw it by the wayside because one program gets, you know, a little better than the other, or one can't always compete, because that you can't create rivalries, you can't create history, and you know, FSDB and St. Joe definitely have something that most schools would love to have, which is a history with at least one
rivalry, a consistent history of a rivalry. A lot of schools can't say that.
Correct. And especially in some of these communities, the schools separate, so there's no, you know, it's not like, oh, well, Duval High School became Lee, Andrew Jackson, and Julia Landon in the fall of 1927. So, yes, those schools have been around for 90 years, but do Lee and Jackson play every year in football? No.
They used to, but this year that came to an end.
Right. And Julia Landon's a middle school. So, you know, St. Joe has this history with FSDB that is something that is not easily replicated. But back to St. Joe, I mean, they at St. John's, who's had to forfeit a game because they haven't had players, at Tallahassee St. John Paul II, who is another team that was good last year, but is struggling this year. The JP2 Panthers are winless, and then they host Deltona Trinity Christian. not the powerhouse from Jacksonville, but Deltona Trinity Christian's 4-1. That might be the only team that can really slow them down. And then they'll have the North Florida Football Conference Championship game. So they could easily have another undefeated regular season. And they might need to keep winning if they want a bye in the first round of the Region 1 3A playoffs, because they're currently third in points behind Tallahassee, Florida High, as well as undefeated Baldwin. So the Flashes will need to keep the pressure on those two programs, because if they don't, well then, you know, you'd assume that Baldwin, if they keep winning, and Florida High, will take top two spots.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about it. But for St. Joe, it would be, even if they finish with the third seed, that's a chance to host a playoff game at home. in the regional quarterfinals in that first round.
Yeah, and they obviously want to host one, but I mean, it would be even sweeter to have
the playoff bye, knowing that you're going to be hosting the next week, anyways.
Exactly, and so and just looking at Florida High schedule, really quick. I mean, the Seminoles can afford losses because of the quality of the opponents they're playing. North Florida Christian at Crawford at Wakulla, Mariana they host Godby. And they host Panama City Arnold. So, Godby, Wakulla, NFC, those are teams that will, if nothing else, will get the Seminoles points so that even if they lose those games, it's still worthwhile to them. And so they have a larger margin of error than St. Joseph does.
Yeah, definitely, indeed on that one. But You got any final thoughts before I have to let you go and I go drifting into the Panhandle, because I've got Panhandle football to talk about too tonight, man. That's
Panhandle. It's always interesting over there. It's been a interesting year, and so I'm looking forward to see what other twists and turns are ahead for us folks over here in St. Johns County.
Well, definitely, indeed. Well, I definitely appreciate you, Will Brown, for joining us. So you can follow him on Twitter. I think that's at WWBrown19. Did I get it right? I think I did.
WWBrown19.
All right. Well, Will, I appreciate you joining us. I'll be in touch with you later on in the season.
Yes, sir, Josh. I appreciate it as always. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. All right, that was Will Brown from the St. Augustine Record joining us here on the FloorDHSFootball.com radio show. We'll be back here after this break, and we'll have Irish Bill Hamill from Irish Bill's Twist on Sports to talk Panhandle football right here on the FloorDHSFootball.com radio show.
High school sports fans, follow your team live with the free ScoreStream mobile app. Just download ScoreStream to get real-time scores, photos, and awesome video from your game and your rivals. Plus, follow your favorite teams and friends. Get real-time high school sports from ScoreStream.
The Florida Athletic Coaches Association has been the state's premier coaches association for high school coaches since 1936. From coaching clinics to all-star games for all Florida High School Athletic Association team sports, the Florida Athletic Coaches Association has something for all coaches to be involved with, from Pensacola to Key West. To inquire about membership, visit the Florida Athletic Coaches Association online at floridacoaches.org. That is floridacoaches.org. Legacy Team Sales is the official clothing sponsor of FloorDHSFootball.com, serving the entire state of Florida with everything a team needs and beyond. From shirts to ball caps and from jerseys to promotional gear, Legacy Team Sales has it all, including embroidery and screen printing services. Visit them online at shoplts.com or visit their showroom and warehouse at 1417 Southwest 17th Street in Ocala between US 301 and State Road 200. FloorDHSFootball.com is a proud media partner of the Florida High School 7v7 Association. The goal of the Florida High School 7v7 Association is to provide high school football teams around the state an association that complies with Florida High School Athletic Association bylaws and policies while being able to provide off-season training for their skilled position athletes. For teams interested in membership starting in January 2018, visit the Florida High School 7v7 Association online at FH7v7A.com.
High school sports fans, follow your team live with the free ScoreStream mobile app. Just download ScoreStream to get real-time scores, photos, and awesome video from your game and your rivals. Plus, follow your favorite teams and friends. Get real-time high school sports from ScoreStream.
Legacy Team Sales is the official clothing sponsor of FloorDHSFootball.com, serving the entire state of Florida with everything a team needs and beyond. From shirts to ball caps and from jerseys to promotional gear, Legacy Team Sales has it all, including embroidery and screen printing services. Visit them online at shoplts.com or visit their showroom and warehouse at 1417 Southwest 17th Street in Ocala between US 301 and State Road 200. The Florida Athletic Coaches Association has been the state's premier coaches association for high school coaches since 1936. From coaching clinics to all-star games for all Florida High School Athletic Association team sports, the Florida Athletic Coaches Association has something for all coaches to be involved with from Pensacola to Key West. To inquire about membership, visit the Florida Athletic Coaches Association online at floridacoaches.org. That is floridacoaches.org.
High school sports fans, follow your team live with the free ScoreStream mobile app. Just download ScoreStream to get real-time scores, photos, and awesome video from your game and your rivals. Plus, follow your favorite teams and friends. Get real-time high school sports from ScoreStream.
FloridaHSFootball.com is a proud media partner of the Florida High School 7v7 Association. The goal of the Florida High School 7v7 Association is to provide high school football teams around the state an association that complies with Florida High School Athletic Association bylaws and policies while being able to provide off-season training for their skilled position athletes. For teams interested in membership starting in January 2018, visit the Florida High School 7v7 Association online at fh7v7a.com.
High school sports fans, follow your team live with the free ScoreStream mobile app. Just download ScoreStream to get real-time scores, photos, and awesome video from your game and your rivals. Plus, follow your favorite teams and friends. Get real-time high school sports from ScoreStream.
All right, welcome back here to the FloridaHSFootball.com radio show. Josh Wilson here, as always, every Wednesday night from 8 to 10, but we're going over a little bit tonight because of all the little technical errors. And we've had some long interviews, but that's all that matters. We're having fun, and that's how we do it here every Wednesday night here on the FloridaHSFootball.com radio show. And joining me from over in Navarre is Irish Bill Hamill from Irish Bill's Twist on Sports, talking Panhandle football. I mean, I love Irish Bill's insights to the Panhandle, and I'm telling you what, Bill. I mean, it's this year. I think it's going to be a really big year again. 6A football in the Panhandle.
Well, I agree, Josh. I mean, we not only have the Navarre Raiders that are having an outstanding season so far. Escambia is unbeaten, and Pine Forest, 1-point loser to Navarre last week in Crestview, and you can never count out Niceville as well in 6A.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, let's start with what's going on here at the within 6A football. I mean, it's like because if you're not familiar with 6A football in the Panhandle, it's 3 districts. Districts 1, 2, and 3 encompass the Panhandle football, and then the District 4 in Region 1. That's all of Jacksonville, but. I mean, I'm looking at this right now, and I think right now, I think 6A2, which is Navarre, Pace, Gulf Breeze, and Milton right now, is looking like the best district right this second, sitting in the Panhandle region of the 6A teams. And, I mean, Navarre 5-0, that's – and I know that's 5-0 has not come easy, I'll tell you that.
Definitely the Crestview game a couple of weeks ago, where they're down 28-0 in the first half to Crestview. And then they come back for a big 41-35 win. And then Friday night, this past Friday, in a downpour, they drive down and they score on 4th down on a tipped defensive pass into the receiver's hand in the back of the end zone, and they win by 1.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. And Pine Forest is no slouch. I mean, look at everything. And Escambia and Pine Forest play this week. I mean, that's a... I mean, they come up for Pine Forest a tough game, and here they go right into the gate with another tough game. I mean,
I'll talk a little bit about Pine Forest. A very young, very athletic team. They only have 6 seniors that are playing, so you got a team that's going to be bringing back 16 players next year, and they are very talented on the offensive side of the ball as well as defense. Very quick.
I mean that thing, and just the thing about Escambia. I mean, Escambia has got a good team, and Coach Bennett there. I mean, his thing, and that's going to be tough. And I believe that game is actually Pine Forest is on the road, so that game is Escambia. That'll be over there at Emmett Smith Field. I mean, that's not a tough. That's not an easy place to go play.
Yeah, district play gets underway this Friday in all of 5A and 6A here in the Panhandle. And that should be a great game. And haven't really seen much of Escambia. They played a couple of teams out of Louisiana, and then they played a team out of West Park. They had to travel all the way up, which was not much of a matchup. I honestly didn't even see why that game was on the schedule. but they are undefeated, and they're facing a 3-1 Pine Forest Friday night at Emmett Smith Field.
I mean, and the thing, but then let me bounce back to Navarre. I mean, it's Navarre and Pace this week. I mean, that's going to be a good game.
Yeah, it should be a great matchup. Always tough to go up and play at Pace, and what an effort by Damian Bivens last week. 382 yards and 5 touchdowns against Choctaw.
I mean, that's an effort, and Pace is known, and let me just put it this way: Pace is known to run the ball at you. And this is no.
If you remember the old Pace Mickey Lindsay style run a type of offense, wouldn't be nothing for them to throw 60 or 70 carries a night at you.
And the same thing's happening under Coach Kent Smith, and it's the same philosophy. Run the ball at you.
Run the ball, and we move over to District 3 as well. What a great comeback by West Florida last week to knock off Crestview at home, and Niceville seems to be getting their stride now after they got that gift of a first week win where Lincoln had played a player twice in 1 week, JV game, and the varsity they got a win back. So they're finally hitting their stride. Coach Hicks got that team starting to move forward now.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, indeed, I can tell you that. But and that stride thing, and of course they they had a close game with Champaign Catholic, the 2A defending state champion. So that's the thing. I think the concern is that, okay, are we talking about this being the same kind of Niceville football team that we've been used to? Probably not, but they're still, you can't throw them totally. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, as they say, and and discount them out, because there's a chance that they could beat Crestview for the district this year, which it seems to be. It comes down to Niceville and Crestview lately for the district championship.
But most definitely, I see Crestview bouncing back after their 2 tough losses to Navarre, and then last week to West Florida, because West Florida team is a good team. But back into District 2 with Navarre and Josh, this is a team. This is my 10th year broadcast of Navarre football, and this is the team with the most balance that I've seen out of a Raider team. They're averaging just under 200 yards a game passing, and just a little bit over 200 yards rushing. So if you stop the run, they'll throw the ball. If you stop the pass, they're going to run the ball right up your throat.
I mean, and that's the thing right there, and all, looking at that, I mean, it's the thing. I think the team that really is kind of surprising me the most of terms of the thing, and maybe just because it's it's a down year, and it's Tate, because usually Tate would be in the mix, but they're 1-4, and that's the.
I know they had their quarterback coming back this year with Hunter Riggin and a Patrick Palmer, who's an athlete-style type player like Dante Wright for Navarre. He does a lot on both sides of the ball for Tate. But they have offensively, they're doing okay, but defensively is where they're having a little bit of troubles.
And it does show in the scores, especially like last week of 34-35. I mean, to Milton, that's tough. I mean, that's a very tough loss.
Yeah, yes, it is. And they went for 2 at the end of the game instead of going for the tie and send it to overtime. They went for 2 in the victory, and they came up a little bit short on a goal line stand by the Milton Panthers.
I mean, and that, looking at that, I mean, that's just those are the games you hate to win or hate to lose, because it's just so close. You'd rather be blown out before losing a close game like that.
Yeah, Milton's now coached by Harry Lees. He moved over from West Florida. He had a nice program over there at West Florida, but he's starting to turn the program. They're very young at Milton, but he's starting to turn that program around.
Yeah, definitely. But we're going to take a look at in Class 5A with District 1, which is the Panhandle District for that entire region. Mosley. I am impressed with what Mosley's doing. 5-0. They avoided the trap last week. They got the win. Now here they go. Second. This is the second. They'll be their second district game coming up this week. I mean, Mosley. I mean, the fact that they got that win over West Florida 2 weeks ago, 13-10. That was huge to get a win over a state semifinalist from last year.
Well, you just said it. The top 2 teams in that class there in 5A is Mosley and West Florida. I see those 2 teams coming out of that that division, and that huge win. Mosley, the Dolphins are back. I'm not sure what type of offense, but usually they run kind of a misdirection type of offense. They like to throw a lot of stuff at you. They got the new stadium turf over there. They remodeled the field over there by Bay High School, so they're playing out of that new stadium now over there, and that stadium's pretty old, but it's looking brand new, and the Dolphins are taking advantage of it.
Yeah, man, over there at Tommy Oliver, I mean, looking at it, I mean, they're averaging 34.4 points a game and only giving up 7.6. So that's Jeremy Brown's doing something right with the Dolphins this year. They're finally on that path that he wants Mosley football to be, and you can see it. And I mean, I'm not going to totally write Arnold and Pensacola off just yet. We'll see what happens here, but they're going to try to keep their names floating around in the mix and saying, hey, can we create some trouble for these other teams? And I mean, sure enough, we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, I think Arnold and Mosley are going to be facing off this week, so we'll see what happens there. And Pensacola, it's a team with a lot of talent. They had some guys transfer in from other schools in Pensacola. I don't know if they've really hit their stride yet. If they do, they could be a very dangerous team there in 5A.
I mean, I definitely believe you on that one. And, and then, of course, there's some other Panhandle teams sitting out there, but they're in the Region 4A, Region 1 and Class 4A. And right now, it seems like I tell you what, it seems like you got Rains, which is part of the, over in Jacksonville, but it's part of that region. It's like Rains, and then here's everybody else, and it's a tough out for a lot of the Panhandle teams that are in that region.
It sure is. I mean, if I was remembering right, looking here at my district standings, through the first 5 weeks, they only have 3 wins out of Region 1 here in Class 4A between South Walton, Rutherford, Mariana, North Bay Haven, Gadsden County, and Walton is extremely down this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at South Walton now 3-2, so that's the thing, and I don't know if you got a chance to look at the point system with the first release of it, but I mean, it's very interesting what we're seeing here on the early release. I mean, of course, things are going to change, but I mean, just looking at it, I mean, South Walton would be a 3 seed right now.
Right, and they have excellent quarterback, junior Drake Roberts. Has had, I think, 2 or 3 300-plus yard games already here on. Went for a couple of 100 yards last week on 18 of 20 passing. Pretty solid night, and he carries that offense over there at South Walton and the Seahawks.
Yeah, and I think with that, and then of course the funny thing is Mariana would be a 2 seed, and they just won their first game last week, so that's
offensively, Mariana down this year. As you know, they have a lot of athletes over at Mariana, always a tough out. But like I said, the majority of the power is over there on the East Coast in 4A.
I mean, and that's the thing right there, and it's a thing. And of course, Panhandle football is concentrated within the 4, 5, and 6A classes in the Panhandle, and minus Rocky Bayou being in Niceville, being in Class 2A Region 1, but they're not in the current projections for playoffs right at the moment. But Bill, I mean, let me throw something out. Within this first 5 weeks that we've played so far, what has stood out to you, and maybe what's the most surprising thing that has stood out?
Well, I think you get a lot of the what we've seen already with Gulf Breeze and Pace in their running games. I think the big surprise so far here early on, it has to be Mosley, 5-0. Like I said, I haven't seen much on Escambia this year, but I think Mosley would probably be one of the big surprises. And with Catholic in 3A, they started out 0-2 against Gulf Breeze and Navarre. They've run off 3 straight victories, but they're going to run into American Heritage Delray Beach this weekend.
That will be a tough matchup right there, and I think they're in American Heritage Delray. They're making that long trip from West Palm Beach all the way to Pensacola. So
I can tell you, Josh, the last time they made this trip was 3 years ago when they came to Navarre and they met Michael Carter and the Navarre Raiders, and Navarre put up 70 on them that night.
And I remember that game, and we were like, "Whoa, what's this going on over here in Navarre?" I mean, this happens a lot, and I guess you could still apply it, but we call it when Jacksonville, Northeast Florida teams have to travel to the Panhandle, we call it the Panhandle jinx. I guess you could apply the Panhandle jinx right now to any team that comes from far away, because it's not an easy trip, especially the fact that if Jacksonville to Pensacola is 6 hours, you got to think add another 4 at least to Palm Beach. That's a 10-hour road trip.
Most definitely, I think that's a 9.5-hour drive from a Delray Beach up to here, and I mean, but I tell you one thing about their coach and their players, that when they came up here and faced Navarre, nothing but class act, and they knew they just ran in. They were a little bit short in numbers, and they knew coming in Navarre, which is always a very tough place to play, unless you get into the third or fourth round. The Central teams seem to have a little bit more luck in the third or fourth round of the state playoffs at Navarre.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's the thing. I mean, you could say even Gainesville had some luck when I thought Navarre was going to make it. I'm like, Gainesville's not going to make it. You got to go deal with the Panhandle, but they play the game. That's why they play it.
Most definitely, and at some point, I can see one of these teams, especially in a year like this, where it seems like a lot of the power in 6A is down in Miami. And then you got the power up here in Navarre. I mean, Navarre up to number 5, Escambia right there with them. Pine Forest not too far out of the picture, and Gulf Breeze having a solid season with their Tyler Denrich running back, who's leading the state in rushing right now.
I mean, right, and I'm looking at Navarre's schedule after this week: Escambia, Milton, Gulf Breeze, Niceville. Here we go with potential that Navarre could be the overall number 1 seed by the time it's all said and done with. I mean, right now Pine Forest is showing to be number 1 seed, but yeah, I think Navarre definitely is going to push forward here, and once these additional games are played.
Definitely, they got Coach Jay Walls in his 7th year, and this will be his 80th game this year. While at Navarre, and right now he is 64-15.
That's an impressive record.
Yeah, he's got these young men believing in our program, believing in our system, believing that no lead is too big not to come back from. These young boys, as I have labeled them on my hashtag on Twitter now, is cardiac kids.
Cardiac kids. It's almost like somebody would say the cardiac cats, but then the cardiac kids. Call them the cardiac raiders. There you go.
I could do that, or I'll think of something. But for right now, it's hashtag cardiac kids.
I mean, that's the thing, and in the Panhandle football, people forget about the Panhandle. We still have part of Florida here that the Panhandle, and hey, Panhandle plays great football, and you hear Irish Bill speaking about it. It's a dogfight every week for supremacy in these districts.
Well, it sure is, Josh. And I moved here in 1991, where I was stationed in the Air Force here at Hobart Field. And my first year, Navarre didn't have a high school until their first full team in '99. So I got to follow a Fort Walton Beach team that was led by former Heisman Trophy winner Danny Werfel. And they went on to state that year and knocked off St. Thomas Aquinas. And so I fell in love with Panhandle football right off the bat, and it was a little bit later. Like I said, this will be my 10th year broadcasting Navarre football, and I got in on the door early on, and they have welcomed me aboard, and I'm not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere. I mean, your son has gone through Navarre for the kicker. Now he's at Miles College up there in Alabama.
Most definitely, still looking for his first collegiate win. As he transferred from Shorter, they were 0-22 his first 2 years, and the last 2 weeks they lost with 21 seconds to go at home, and then last week they lost on a Hail Mary pass. The only time they were behind in the whole game at Soldier Field.
Yeah, I mean, for Brady, he definitely wants that win, and I'm sure he's going to get it here pretty soon.
I'm sure he is. They get ready to start conference play this week as they head over to Albany State. And then they'll be back home for homecoming against Central State from Ohio.
Yeah, that's a thing. So, but again, hey, you look at the Panhandle football. They produce talent just like the rest of the state, and this is why, hey, I consider Florida to be the best state for producing high school, in terms of athletes. And that's just not only including football. We're talking all sports. I think Florida is definitely the best.
Most definitely, Josh, and you'll get to watch a young man from Navarre tomorrow night. Michael Carter will be in the backfield for North Carolina as they face off with the U tomorrow night.
Man, that's going to be a game. So see if he goes off.
Most definitely. And before I get off there, Josh, can I plug my show real quick?
plug your show and plug where you can hear the games, because that definitely is the most deserving that you need to do. Plug yourself. Plug it away.
I appreciate it. Every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central, I'm at Culver's in downtown the bar. They've been a host of my show for the last 2 years, and we do just a kind of a high school sports talk, more stats, a lot of stats and what's going on in the Panhandle of Florida, football-wise. And then Friday nights, you can catch me live on jockjive.com, and we got live video now with a much better feed. And wherever we're at in the Panhandle, you can catch Irish Bill and that's about it. Jockjive.com is our place for sports here up in the Panhandle.
Yeah, definitely. And again, it's Jock Jive, and you can also follow Irish Bill on Twitter at IrishBill63.
That's correct. And I also have a group page on Facebook, which you like to post a lot of stuff, and I like when people post things onto my page because that just opens it up for everybody else. And I have almost 700 followers there. And on Twitter, up over 700 now. So you log on to one of my social media sites, and you're going to be seen.
Yeah, and you can just search on Facebook, Irish Bill's Twist on Sports.
Most definitely.
Well, Bill, Irish Bill, I definitely appreciate it. I'll definitely be talking to you later on as the season goes on, and and when we get closer to the playoffs, especially. I mean, I talk to you almost every week, anyways, about what's going on. So. I'll definitely keep in touch.
I want to pass on one more thing. I know you don't like to toot your own horn, but what you do for Florida football, it's something like we've never seen before. And I know all the hard work and effort that you put into it, and we get to see the end product. But I know what goes on behind the scenes, and just my hat off to you, Josh, for all that you do for the state of Florida, not only in regular football and flag football as well.
Yeah, definitely, and that's actually one thing is that I know that with Santa Rosa County, the four teams, the four bigger teams, Baker not included, they flag football this year, they're adding it.
Yeah, so I can't wait. That gives me something to do in the spring to watch more football.
There you go. Man, that'll be fun. That'll be exciting when we get to the spring, indeed. But Bill, I appreciate you just taking a few minutes of your busy evening and joining me here on the FloydHSFootball.com radio show.
You're welcome, Josh, and Panhandle rocks.
Yeah, definitely, indeed. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, that was Irish Bill from Irish Bill's Twist on Sports here on the FloydHSFootball.com radio show. And, it's week 6. Log on, FloydHSFootball.com on Friday night to get all your scores. And we'll be back next week with the FloydHSFootball.com radio show here on FloydHSFootball.com. You can listen to us each week, FloydHSFootball.com/live. And it's been great. We've had a lot of fun. We'll be back. Week 7 is next week. Hard to believe. After this week, we're heading into the backstretch. We're coming down between turns 2 and 3, and then we'll eventually head into turn 4 to the finish line of the regular season. And it's hard to believe, but we'll be in the month of October next week when we come back. Yeah, month of October. Holy cow. All right. Well, guys, it's been great. We'll talk to you next week right here on the FloydHSFootball.com radio show. Good night, and best of luck to your teams this week. This has been a production of FloridaHSFootball.com. Copyright 2018, Florida HS Football LLC. All rights reserved.